Well, welcome back to Crowley House Flower Farm. Today we have something very special. We are going to be creating a little fairy garden with things that we have around the house or things that we have picked up along the way to create this special little design. It's my mother's birthday, and for her birthday I thought I would surprise her with this cute little garden. So I've been looking forward to this project for some time because I knew we were going to be doing it. And I always try and have something on the calendar that is a little bit creative, a little bit different than always planting or creating something with fresh flowers or cutting here at Crowley House. Taking a few weeks to gather our bits and pieces was just kind of fun. It gave me something to look forward to. It also was a project that I was looking forward to doing with my son. Usually I do a few things creatively through the season, through the year, with either my daughter or my son. So it's time well spent bonding and creating. So anyways, I'm glad you're here to join us, and I hope you enjoy this beautiful creative time with myself and my son Brayden. So I'm creating this little magic fairy house and garden for my mother. It's her 71st birthday. So as soon as Brayden and I are done with this, we're gonna take it up and surprise her. Because what's better in January when you have these dark, gloomy, rainy days to have this bright spot on your table with the little fairy lights and the magical elements to each one of them, just creating this beautiful piece that not only her grandkids will enjoy, but also us kids at heart. This fairy garden starts in the antique store. Brayden and I just ran down to a little, it's more of a secondhand store, and shopped around for a beautiful plate. And we found one, ironstone, with the sweetest little emblem on the etching of the old crackled pottery. We set up with a glue gun, cut some sticks from the garden, gathered some moss, a bucket of soil. We had a few terracotta pots that we thought to put our little plants in. We had picked up some begonias, an orchid, and the cup that we were going to break into bits and pieces. I looked around the house for something I could use for a base for the fairy house to sit on, and I found a top from a candle. It was just a circle and perfect for the project. I glued each stick on first and then started building the roof, using nature as the sculpture, which was really cool. I love how the sticks kind of come up and over. I created a little window using sticks, and then inside the rose cone there's this thin little papery sheet that comes out, and I thought, oh, that would be perfect to kind of cast a little glow. I finished it up with a bed of moss, perfect for the little fairy to sleep on at night. I grew up in a very large family. There was 12 of us children. My mother, for entertainment, would always be super creative with what she planned out for our activities, and one of them, especially in early spring, when cabin fever had kind of sunk in and we needed something to do, she would tell us the story of fairies. And she made it so magical. She would hand out little popsicle sticks and tell us to be creative and find little treasures. We'd take our little Easter baskets and go out into the garden and find sticks and little pieces of bark, moss, to create our own little fairy gardens outside. This was a chance, now that I think about it, for my mom to have just a few moments of quiet in the home. I can only imagine with 12 children running around that the house was very lively. I remember it just being this amazing, wonderful experience, and our imaginations would run wild. We grew up without a TV, so it was important for us to have things to play and do, and so imagination was a big part of what we experienced. Because we grew up with not a ton of money, and can you imagine having 12 kids and finding games and all sorts of things, my mom had to get very creative. She was so good about just using what we had on hand to create this experience, and it didn't even have to be that much. But these fairy gardens were something special because my mom, if you knew her, is a very magical person herself. So her stories were very elaborate, and it created this amazing experience for us. So as I've grown, I carry this memory of these fairy gardens with me. And so today we are going to do this little project, and I'm going to bring my son along with me. I hope this inspires you to do something that is maybe not something you would typically do, just to find magic in something simple as finding what you have around the house and creating a beautiful fairy garden. Brayden said about painting the little fairy itself. I think it turned out so cute. The inspiration behind it was the little etching on the antique plate that we found. It had blues and greens and pinks. So he decided to design it in that fashion. We mixed paint, found the right colors, a little bit of yellow, a little bit of pink, a little bit of green, all to create this magical little fairy. It took some time because the fairy is so delicate and dainty, and we wanted it to be just perfect. To start, for the base, we added a bed of soil. Then we added the little house. Nestled next to the house, we started working with our little begonias. We had 2 different varieties, and we potted them up into some beautiful aged terracotta pots. Behind the 2 begonias, we put the beautiful orchid. And I love the color combination, don't you? That beautiful peach coral color was just perfect and stunning, offsetting the colors of the plate and the fairy. Next, we just tucked little bits of moss here and there, softening the edges. We added some moss to the top of the terracotta pots and around the little fairy and the little creatures that we had purchased as well at the store. We tucked the little fox back and the little bunny and the fairy into the fairy garden. We added some fairy lights to the garden. You can find this at any craft store. But we thought it would be the perfect touch to our little fairy garden, creating that beautiful magical glow. We wound the twine through the house and then had the little button that turns it on and off set behind by the orchid. After adding in the fox and the bunny and the finishing touch of our fairy, we turned on the lights and the magic exploded. I love how this fairy house turned out. Well, what did you love best about this little fairy garden? Have you ever done something like this? I'd love to know down in the comments. And until next time, much success in all you do and grow, and we'll be seeing you shortly back here at Crowley House very soon. Bye-bye.